Heyo! Welcome to the first Murder Horses video. This is where the series begins with a dream called The Gentleman. If you're here, then I'm assuming you have heard of or seen the Murder Horses somewhere and want to know more about the project. Or you might have stumbled on this video by accident. In either case, welcome. I'm hoping that this series of videos can offer a bit more info on the project for those who are curious. This painting was created before I had a webcam, so instead of a speed paint, you'll see the process through progress photos. And just a small content warning, although there's nothing specific or graphic in my descriptions, this story involves symbolic death and dream horror imagery. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into my inner world. If you enjoy my content, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm dying to hear from you. All right, let's saddle up. Let's start with some real-world context. In 2012, my spouse of 5 years told me she no longer loved me and wanted a divorce. I built my whole identity around being a wife and around the idea of forever. So when she wanted to end things, it didn't feel like just a simple breakup. It felt like failure at a core level. Worse than that, I didn't know who I was without her. Our future had been planned out, and it got erased in a handful of conversations. I had no idea what came next, because next had always meant us. And there was a second layer to it. During our marriage, my husband had come out to me as trans. I accepted that. I even changed myself to meet her there. My expectations, my sense of the future, my sense of self, and it still wasn't enough. When it ended, it didn't just feel like rejection. It felt like I had been in her way, like I was something she needed to leave behind to get to her real life. That was the ground I was standing on when the gentleman found me. When the dream starts, I am standing outside on a city street at night. Behind me was a fine dining restaurant with windows so large that they illuminated me and the sidewalk around me in the warm glow cast from chandeliers inside. I became aware of a policeman and horse on the sidewalk near me. The horse was a bay stallion with a beautiful glossy reddish coat with black snout and black mane and tail. I then realized that there was something not real about the police officer astride him. It was some kind of ruse, some kind of trick by the horse to lure me into a false sense of safety. I felt threatened and uneasy, but didn't understand. Soon I am joined by members of my family, and although we go to the car, they eventually go back to retrieve the rest of our party from the restaurant. So I am left alone and waiting beside the car in the darkened parking lot. I hear a whinny from somewhere close by, and I knew in my gut that he was coming for me. I got into the hatchback of the car, hiding low and looking up towards the night sky through the back window. Like a sinister hunting velociraptor, the bay appeared beside the car, turning his head, clearly looking around the parking lot for me. After he left, I lifted my head to look out the window. I saw my family walking in a group together, coming towards the car, and I breathed a sigh of relief. I was safe. As they got into the car and turned it on, my perspective changed so that my viewpoint was positioned at a point outside the car, looking at the back. As the backlights came to life, spilling red light over the asphalt, I could see my face through the hatchback window, and as I watched, the me inside the car lowered back down to curl up in the back of the car. But then, like a phantom, the neck and head of the horse lifted up, somehow able to fit in the back of the car. Something near his chest glinted like metal in the lamplights, and I knew he had a knife. As the car started to pull away, I watched the horse lower his head beneath the edge of the window, and I knew he had gotten me. The Gentleman was painted between October 2025 and March 2026. A digitally painted version was done in February 2026 during a stall in my work on the physical oil painting. The painting was made using Rust-Oleum brand alkyd oil-based enamel paints, and the digital version was made using Procreate. When I started, I didn't even think of Murder Horses as a series, just this one painting, wanting to see the dream and this figure brought to life after all these years. I chose a tall, narrow wooden board to paint on. At first, it felt limiting, but then I realized it was perfect. The gentleman didn't need scenery. He didn't need other characters. In the dream, he dominated everything. When painting the background, I used painter's tape to protect the area where the horse was. When I removed it, chunks of the background came away with it. I was frustrated at first, and in fact stopped working on it for 3 months. But once I painted the horse, it felt right. The edges around him are subtly broken and uneven, like he wasn't even a part of the dream at all, like he was pushing through it, trying to emerge from somewhere else. The biggest challenge wasn't getting the horse to look like a horse, it was deciding who the gentleman actually was. In the dream, he was terrifying, but not in the way a monster is terrifying. He was calm, patient, almost civilized. When I painted him, I made a different choice. I gave him wide, intense eyes and had him rear over the viewer. I wanted the painting to capture the feeling I had, cowering and hiding from him, yet so close to him. The helpless certainty that something was coming and there was nothing I could do to stop it. But even then, he was never evil. I saw him as deliberate, yet touched by madness. That's what fascinated me. The gentleman wasn't a monster. He felt more like a force, a role he had been given, something carrying out a purpose it couldn't escape or explain. The position of the knife was a point of contention for a bit. It was one of those strange details about the dream that seemed perfectly reasonable and objectively terrifying in dream, yet after waking was a bit confusing and almost funny to try to explain. In the dream, the knife hovered by his shoulder and chest, held by an invisible grip. In the digital version, I thought to try to make it feel more rational, putting the knife where a horse coming to kill me might actually hold it, in the crook of his bent leg. My girlfriend, Sarah, pointed out that it actually made it seem more ridiculous and lost some of its menacing surrealism placing it there. I agreed. Plus, it bothered me that it wasn't accurate. So, in March, when I returned to the physical painting and finished it, I put the knife where it belonged, hovering mysteriously by his shoulder. In this first murder horse dream, I didn't yet know him as the gentleman. It was just this disturbing nightmare I had while my waking world was falling apart around me. Over the years and many more visits and killings by the murder horses, the gentleman stands alone as a return visitor. I've had 5 dreams with him in them. And out of all the murder horses, he is the one that comes like a dignified assassin, cold, businesslike, executing me because the job needed to be done. As the meaning behind the murder horses' dreams started to become clearer to me, my affection for them, and in particular the gentleman, grew. I was only scared when I met him because I so badly didn't want to let go of who I was then. Transformation is bittersweet like that. Loving who I have become now, embracing him wholeheartedly, and yet longing for the days before I had to die to change, grieving the me that never needed horses. Whew, okie dokie. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for sticking with me and listening to my story. I'm still working on the format I want to have for these videos, so any feedback you have is greatly appreciated. Thank you all for your comments and support. It means a lot to me that this project has been touching and affecting people the way that it has. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay up to date on my current projects and events, please follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and subscribe here on YouTube. If you would like to commission me or support me, please reach out to me and send me a tip on Ko-Fi. Links on the screen and in the description. I'm still working on the Etsy shop, but it would help you stay in the loop if you are following me on my socials. I'm also putting together a newsletter. The thesis of it will be the way these horses are still teaching me. It's basically a closer look at the person behind the paintings. I'm hoping to get the first issue out the first week of August, so sign up at the link below so you don't miss it. See you on the next one. Ba da ba.